Could TLC's health experts be any worse? Now, they're not all bad. Dr. Now seems to have a decent success rate.
You're not 700 pounds of water.
Dr. Pimple Popper, no complaints there. But these two from Freaky Eaters, I feel like everything they do, I'm like, please stop doing that. Why would you even think to do that? I posted a video on Freaky Eaters a few weeks ago.
A freaky eater is someone who takes an eating habit to an extreme.
But I feel like there's just so much more to say here. Freaky Eaters seriously may be my least favorite show ever to air on TLC, and it is most definitely one of the worst behavior change shows to ever exist. And the episode we're discussing today on cornstarch really annoyed me.
Cornstarch is my best friend.
I really just hope that the whole thing was fake, because the entire episode was so incredibly unhelpful. And the idea that someone earnestly reached out to the show for help, and instead these two show up, f shit up, and then leave. It just makes me so mad. But thankfully, Freaky Eaters really might be one of those shows that's just 100% fake. Obviously, all reality shows are fake to some degree, but this one at times feels so fake that you're like, okay, is there even a shred of truth in there, or is 100% paid actors? For example, in one episode, the woman is addicted to tartar sauce. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. No matter how much you like tartar sauce, you still have taste buds. Her backstory is a little questionable as well. Normally people who become freaky eaters have either had this habit since childhood or have had some sort of emotional life event that led to the development of this habit. But this is her backstory.
My friends and I went out to eat. We put our leftovers all in the same container. Tartar sauce got all over my breakfast and I fell in love with it.
Since that time, she hasn't eaten a single food without tartar sauce.
Now, I'm not saying it can't happen, but you're telling me your food inappropriately touched tartar sauce one time, and from that day forth, you were hopelessly addicted to tartar sauce. Also, why would anyone mix all their food together in a takeout container? It's just so inconvenient. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. And if you look around for a motive of why TLC might have wanted to create this entire episode in the first place, it's right here, okay? I think the entire episode was created just for this moment.
Misty's essentially drowning her life in tartar sauce.
So
Ready?
we're gonna send a year's worth of tartar sauce. Here it comes.
This show just makes me roll my eyes. They're so obsessed with these visual examples they call shock therapy.
Sometimes people just need to see the sheer volume of the amount of food that they're eating to come to terms with it.
No, they don't. That's not a thing. That's not a therapy. He says it with a lot of conviction, but it still doesn't make it a thing, you know?
Take your boots off. Go ahead and get in. Feel what your habit's like.
I think maybe what makes me the most annoyed is that the hosts pretend that this
It's all the fat in that tartar sauce.
and the rest of this entire show are supposed to pass as real treatment for the issues that these people have with food. No, it's not. You guys are doing literally everything wrong. The show Super Size vs. Super Skinny does something like this as well, with like this over the top visual example. And maybe it's just because they're British, but it just feels so much more tasteful than the way these two go about the entire thing. Now, this next episode, which is at least plausibly more real, deals with a woman named Nikki who's addicted to eating cornstarch.
She eats up to 2 pounds of cornstarch a day. That's 3,300 calories daily from cornstarch alone.
The show also explains that Nikki's addiction was linked to the extremely tragic loss of her young child. So this is a very plausible backstory. And if true, then it's a very complex issue, both psychological, physiological, emotional, and therefore this woman would need and deserve real intensive therapy with real experts and a real game plan. But this is all she's got, and this is what they plan to do.
Can experts Dr. Mike Dow and JJ Virgin end Nikki's destructive diet with just 1 week of intense therapy?
The plan is to end Nikki's destructive diet, which is 1 week of intense therapy. AKA this. This is what their version of intense therapy looks like. First, they catch her off guard eating cornstarch in her car.
Hi there.
What you got there? Whoa! Whoa! Why are you in the back of your truck eating cornstarch?
My husband does not like for me to eat it.
So then why didn't you just stop?
I can't.
Why don't you just stop? As if Nikki's gonna be like, you're right, I will stop. Like JJ Virgin, you do know that the whole thing with addictions is that they're hard to stop, right? Like that's kind of like the crux of addictions. It's kind of like almost like the defining characteristic of an addiction. Nikki then opens up and shares that she's so addicted to cornstarch that she's hidden it all over her house to keep it from her husband.
Nikki had cornstarch stashes literally all over the house. You're choosing cornstarch over your family. You're choosing it.
I am.
But your husband said that he would take the kids and leave.
For some reason, in some episodes, JJ gets a little confrontational, but imagine going to therapy, being vulnerable about your addiction and opening up, and the therapist is getting straight up confrontational with you.
You're not gonna tell them that I hid them though, right?
You are going to be the one doing the talking here.
Sometimes she just sounds so condescending. Like if someone came to my house and talked to me like that because I have an addiction stemming from the loss of my child and a potential undiagnosed iron deficiency, I'd be like, yeah, I'll change. And then I'll go get a Mack truck full of cornstarch and eat it on her front lawn. And this would be called psychological reactance. Reactance is an unpleasant motivational arousal that emerges when people experience a threat to or loss of their free behaviors. It serves as a motivator to restore one's freedom. The amount of reactance depends on the importance of the threatened freedom and the perceived magnitude of the threat. A real therapist dealing with someone's real addiction would not be confrontational. When you're trying to help, keyword help, someone change their behavior, it really comes down to motivating them to take ownership over that change, not pressuring or shaming or anything in that category. You can't threaten or bully anyone into change, and sometimes that can trigger a reactive defensive desire to continue with the problematic behavior on their own terms, even if it's against their best interests. So any sort of coercive or forceful language where you're literally talking down to someone and telling them what they are going to be doing, that's just a no.
It's time for a hefty dose of shock therapy so Nikki can come to terms with what cornstarch is doing in her life.
We set up such a huge shock therapy for Nikki that we actually had to go to a warehouse to do it.
Can somebody please tell these people that making the shock therapy bigger does not make it any more effective?
This here is 739 pounds of cornstarch.
I was really shocked.
739 pounds of cornstarch mixed with water solely for the purpose of making it more dramatic. Next, they have her literally run across the cornstarch, which I guess is so thick that you don't actually like sink into it.
We wanted her to have the experience so she could feel the consistency.
Stop pretending this is a real treatment, okay? Just stop. I can't deal with it. There's literally one reason that you guys are doing it, and it's for TV. Just stop. Stop.
Got one last thing to show you.
Come over here.
I was like, oh my gosh, what are they gonna do to me next?
It literally just keeps going too. Next, they have to move to the hazmat suits.
Here we go.
Then snow angels.
A cornstarch snow angel here?
Nikki, of course, says she's done with cornstarch forever after going through their proprietary shock therapy session.
Now that you've seen it, now that you've walked across it, inhaled it, what do you want to do with this in your life?
I wanna give it up.
All right.
As if someone's gonna go through that whole thing on TV and they'd be like, yeah, I'm just waiting for you guys to leave so I can go get one of the cornstarch baggies I have stuffed in the glove compartment. It wouldn't be a big deal if the shock therapy was like, you know, just something they did at the beginning and then they moved on to like the real therapy portion of the show. But as we know, that is not really how it goes down. Then they take Nikki to the doctor to scare her some more, telling her that she's definitely gonna die if she stops eating cornstarch. And again, this technique is sort of effective.
Well, I'm done.
And now you say it's completely gone.
Because I have to.
Because you recognize that your health is at serious risk.
Yeah.
But a momentary emotional shift is not behavior change success. And again, you can see the tactic is the very same as the one used in shock therapy. It's fear. Fear is a motivational state, and it could possibly put someone in the right headspace. It could shift their perspective in a way that makes them motivated to want to change. But it could also do literally nothing. It could spike motivation in the short term and then nothing from there, or it could even completely backfire and start off a shame spiral that debilitates their ability to change. Fear is absolutely not an appropriate tool to use across the board to help someone change their behavior. And if we take a look at the behavior change wheel here, both of these tactics take place in the same section here. It's pre-contemplation. However, according to this model of change, in order to change for good, you need to move from here all the way to here. And you need a different set of skills to move along each section. So with all of that in mind, let's see what this crack team does next.
I'm going to show Nikki some healthy eating options and give her a good substitute for cornstarch.
Okay, so maybe they're about to actually teach her something that will help her change for real. So JJ's game plan is to teach Nikki some new foods and find her a good substitute for cornstarch.
We made a healthy rendition of her cornstarch by adding protein powder and fiber powder into it.
You guys are gonna give her cornstarch as a substitute for cornstarch.
I want you just to taste it.
okay.
Like 15 minutes ago on this show, Nikki swore off cornstarch for good. She said she was completely done with it.
No, I'm done.
You never want to do that again? Well, and you don't have to.
And JJ's next move is to hand her a bowl of cornstarch.
Doesn't look like you're really liking that so much.
I don't.
I added a little more cornstarch.
Oh my god. She doesn't like it, so you're adding more cornstarch? Like, could you guys do anything worse? Like, could you do anything worse? Also, why is JJ doing the addiction therapy when the other guy is the expert or the specialist in addiction therapy?
So we're gonna wean you off cornstarch.
I think it's gonna take me some time to wean me off of cornstarch.
So Nikki was committed to change. She believed that she could do it cold turkey. She said she was done with cornstarch forever. Then JJ decides that she's not done with cornstarch forever and that she's gonna need to be weaned off instead.
You never want to do that again? Well,
I think it's gonna take me some time to wean me off of cornstarch.
As the expert, she's potentially created the belief in this person's mind that they're not capable of quitting it cold turkey and will need to successfully be weaned off instead. Congratulations, JJ, you've successfully regressed your patient. Like, if this entire show is not completely fake, then it is so reckless because they are doing literally everything wrong. I hope and I think that it probably is quite fake though, like a high percentage of fakeness, because there are just so many red flags throughout the show.
You must eat 3 meals a day.
Someone even mentioned somewhere that's supposed to be an intensive 1-week therapy, but the hosts wear the same outfits every single day. You'd think if you were going to do a show about a mental health topic, you'd at least try a little bit to model an accurate treatment protocol for anyone watching.
How did the homework go?
I have been eating my 3 meals a day.
Okay, so what about that cornstarch mixture?
I only had 2 bites a day.
that's huge, Nikki.
Oh, look at that, JJ. She did not need your cornstarch mixture after all. Her face is like so surprised.
If Nikki was able to last these last couple days with only a few tablespoons of cornstarch, I think she's gonna do really well in the long haul.
I mean, the thing is, the first week is incredibly unrepresentative of your chances of success in the long term. Like, most people can keep up with any sort of behavioral change for at least a week. It's really after a week or 2 that you get at least some sort of idea of how things are going. Anyway, they have one last surprise for Nikki.
Now we have one more final surprise for Nikki and Charles. Now we want to take you somewhere really special.
Okay.
They take her out in a boat, okay? And they decide that this is a great idea.
The biggest thing that you've let go of over the last couple days is this craving for cornstarch.
Why would you bring an addict around their addiction? Like, it actually makes me so mad. Could this show do any more things wrong? It's just so obvious that every single move that this show does is 100% for views with absolutely zero consideration to what this might possibly do to this person's life. Like, this is someone's real life. But hey, who am I to judge? Clearly, these two are experts of their craft. The moral of the story is don't let TLC into your house, into your mind, and definitely not into your heart. I don't know what to say. I literally never know how to end these videos. I kind of want to just be like Homer escaping into the bushes at the end. Kind of like JJ Virgin and Mike Dow after they cured Kelly of her cheesy potatoes addiction. And if you haven't seen that one, you can check it here. I don't know if it's going to be here, but it'll be around. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.